Hey friends. So for whatever reason, something that came to me today, and I say for whatever reason because I honestly don't know where this came from. Although I can probably retrace the breadcrumbs if I think about it. But what came to me was this recognition of something. It's a phenomenon or a principle that I know to be true, which is when we're struggling with something, when we are working on a challenge in our life, when we are feeling overwhelmed or unsure about where to go next, what to do next, these kind of like critical moments in our life. And it seems like more of them happen when we're young, and then things kind of like start to smooth out, although not always. A lot of times it's like there's a flurry of them. Certainly when we're young, there's a flurry of them. A lot of things to be kind of chiseled through, and every time we turn around, we're dealing with a new kind of life change. And then at some point things kind of settle in. But it's my experience that if we want to, we can have these moments for a whole lifetime. If we really if we really want it, we can experience these challenges, these crises, these thresholds again and again, no matter how old we get. And that's not the revelation that I had. That's just something that I've noticed to be true. But the insight that I had, or the sort of like thing that flashed for me as I was thinking about this today, is that the function of these moments on the level of our sort of like how we perceive them, we're going to think there's a decision to be made so that the thing that we decide answers or deals with the problem, right? And that makes sense. That's kind of how problems work. You have a problem, and and then you find the solution, you discover the solution, you create the solution, problem solved. Great. Only that's not really the main point of these particular kinds of problems. The main point of these life challenges is to imbue us with the courage to face them. That's my experience. And once that courage arises in us, once we simply decide to step into that courage, to harness our strength, to go there, the problem either is solved or dissolves and goes away without even needing to be solved, or remains but becomes irrelevant. In other words, we don't solve the problem, but we transcend the problem. We move beyond it in a way that makes it not important, where the function of the problem has performed its function for us. We've claimed the courage. We've claimed our power in a way. And then we realize, oh, it was never really about solving this problem. That's just something that was hooking me or provoking me in a way that allowed me to get to where I needed to get to. But actually, it's not really about fixing this or about fully resolving this. It's just not important to me anymore. And I think the reason that this is showing up for me is because I've been talking about on this post for a while. I feel like there are some things in my life that I'm reckoning with. My own professional orientation, what I'm really doing, what I'm most deeply committed to, because I don't think that I actually have a lot of confusion about that, but I think I have enough of a discrepancy between my kind of deep core convictions and what I literally do every day, like how I take action steps and prescribe action steps for myself that are in alignment with that. There's enough of a gap there that I'm like, okay, gotta fill that gap. Gotta close that gap. I gotta not just connect with what I believe, but also actionalize, which is not a word. Don't use that word. But you know what I mean. Actionize, which is also not a word. Don't use that word. but you get my point. Put that stuff into action. Actually connect with where the kind of rubber meets the road. That is where, for me, I think I'm feeling this need. And I spoke about this just a couple days ago in my on the reflections that we do as a family. If you missed my post on that, check my post from yesterday or the day before. I did a post on a really kind of beautiful family conversation that we had. It's a bit of a tradition where everybody shares something about the previous year, what we've been through over the past year, and talks a little bit about what our intentions, what we're putting out there to the universe for the upcoming year. Had a really beautiful version of that this year, and I spoke about this because I am kind of in a place of letting things. Well, part of it is observing that certain doors are closing, and also observing that I don't have a strong impulse to stop them from closing, even though sometimes watching the thing go, like if I'm watching work that I've customarily done for the last several years sort of dry up, of course there's an inclination to go, no, stop, come back, don't leave, because I don't know what's coming next. But even though I have an impulse like that on one level, there's another part of me that's like, actually, this is fine. Let's let that go. Let's not act on the compulsive impulse to hang on to something when on a not even that much deeper level, just a little bit deeper level, I'm already aware that this is supposed to go, and I'm supposed to be even if I don't know what I'm letting in, I know I'm supposed to be creating space for that thing. And of course, the question that it's really hard not to keep asking is, well, what is it that's coming next? What's the next thing? And this is one of those thresholds, or one of those moments where I kind of have to just let it happen the way it's happening. I could solve the problem, but I don't know if that's, I don't, but at the same time, if my priority is solving the problem in terms of, no longer feeling like I'm in this unknown place, if that's the only problem I'm trying to solve, well, then I'm probably not actually looking at this deeply enough. And what I feel periodically and I more and more consistently is that as I let these things go, it can't hurt me. I truly feel grounded in the fact that what's going away, what is drifting away, what is kind of like dissolving or passing away is something that I want to see pass away. It's not something that I actually want to hold on to. So that's cool. That's kind of cool. Because it means I'm gaining that courage. I am claiming. I'm. It's not. Again, it's not that the problem doesn't need solving. It's not that the problem does need solving. It's not that the problem does exist or doesn't exist, or is dissolving or is not dissolving. Those things will happen when it's time, but that's not actually where my focus goes. My focus goes on how is this informing me? Who am I? How am I being shaped? Who am I becoming as this takes place? Whom do I want to become out of this process? Do I want to let this process make me fearful? Do I want to use this energy to become cynical? To become angry, frustrated? Or do I want to use this process to become more awake, more loving, more empathetic to myself, more sensitive to others, just more alive? Because literally every event, every challenge, every blessing, every anything, we have that choice. So it's not about solving the problem, right? If we think it's about solving the problem, then we're going to shortchange the process that's trying to happen in us, the much more significant process, and we might not even notice that that's what's supposed to happen. We might completely just get so fixed on thinking it's the problem itself that needs to be solved. I had this experience today of we're driving out to this resort to go and pick up our daughter. And I was kind of frustrated. The day some things in our schedule had not quite gone the way we wanted them to, so we were a little bit late, and I was in my head. I'm running the tape of all the problems that need to be solved. And then something in my mind was like, but wait. Sure, all that's true. Great. What if the I, sit back, feel my own consciousness, feel my own spine animated with life force, feel the inherent joy of existence? What if I start there and then still solve all the problems of how are we going to get our child dinner? How are we going to get her home for bed? What time are we going to arrive? What time are we going to leave? Are we going to stay out here? Are we going to come back? All the little heady things that myself and my wife were kind of thinking through. We still have to deal with them. Those aren't not problems. They're not questions. It's just that they're really not the point. The point is this frame of awareness, this frame of consciousness in which literally everything takes place. And the perspective that brings, and it was immediate. All of a sudden, my energy went up. My eyesight got better. I was driving at night, and all of a sudden I was seeing further. I was able to just take in the road over a longer stretch of distance. It was bizarre. So like any problem that I could have possibly been called upon to solve in that moment, and in this case it wasn't like a heavy, it wasn't like I was solving some kind of deep Nobel Prize winning conundrum. But anything that I might have been handed at that moment, I would be way more qualified and way more prepared, way more equipped to deal with. And I think if we just remember that that's what every problem is actually about. That's really what's being called forth in us anytime there's a challenge, whether it's a micro challenge or a macro challenge. Then we're using that moment of life in the most effective way possible. We're allowing it to make us more alive. And B, we're going to solve it faster, or we're going to realize we don't need to, or it's going to solve itself without us doing any work. So yeah, that was what came to me today as I was driving at night. That's where I am today, folks. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you soon.